When the movie Interstellar came out, it made $705.2 million in box office. The budget was $165 million, which is more than how much it took for India to land on the moon. And it cost that much to make the movie for a reason. Among other things, Interstellar is known for its stunning sound and visual effects, immersive and heart-wrenching plot, as well as its scientific accuracy. In my opinion, this movie is sci-fi done right. A clear tell for a good sci-fi movie is when it evokes heavy emotions within the audience, as well as gives the audience many existential crises. And Interstellar does just that. It gives you a bunch of existential crises, makes you cry, and that's kind of why I liked it. It's pretty much a playground for my masochist brain. But I think one of the biggest reasons it appealed to me in particular was because it glorified the whole being an astronaut and making a huge difference for the world thing. But when I made the decision to become a Harvard graduate neurosurgeon when I grew up, I didn't really take into account for the fact that it requires a lot of hard work, and a lot of science, and a lot of studying, and maybe a little bit of good mental health. And I don't need to tell you where that went. So anyway, because I couldn't become an astronaut, I guess the least I can do is live through these movies, because the dad, Cooper, he's kind of a healthy STEM parent and is really sweet as a dad, which is nice. I mean, I have a nice dad too, it's nice. It's nice. Anyway, I painted this giant Interstellar painting because it is basically a shrine to my love for this movie. And I thought I'd tell you a bit about the movie and what I loved about it. So yeah, on with it. Even though the first time I watched this movie, I was extremely confused as to what was going on, I couldn't help but notice how pretty the visuals were. The cornfield, Miller's planet, Gargantua, Man's planet. There's probably a lot I'm leaving out, but this is so impressive because there was barely any CGI used in this movie. Which isn't much of a shocker since Christopher Nolan is known for trying his best to avoid the use of CGI, which means that he found the most creative ways to depict different scenes of the film. Here's a few examples. The Endurance, the spaceship, was actually a tiny model that was custom made and shot by a real camera. It wasn't CGI. And also with the shots of the interiors of the Endurance, Christopher Nolan placed projector screens outside of the quote-unquote spacecraft where the actors could react real-time to the visuals, and also so that the light and the visuals could reflect on the actors' helmets and they wouldn't have to worry about the CGI there, and it would be a little more realistic. But that's just the beginning when it comes to the efforts and attention to detail that the director put into this movie. And I mean, the filmmakers poured their hearts out on research. NASA actually gave an input for the space scenes. The production team did some research on organic farming in order to figure out how they could include the apocalypse of the Earth through crop failure. And to settle into his role as Cooper, who is a farmer and an astronaut, Matthew McConaughey even spent time with astronauts and farmers. This is already crazy preparation, and I'm just getting started. Even the robots Tars, Kip, and Case were not CGI. They were actually puppets, and they were voiced on set by this man, Bill Irwin, and he was digitally erased from the movie. There is one thing that still blows my mind. It's the amount of efforts they put into the set. We all know the iconic cornfield chase scene, which is iconic for a reason. One, for the music, and second, because the visuals are striking. But what I didn't know before was that Christopher Nolan grew 500 acres of corn just for the movie, and then once it was done, he sold the corn and made a profit. But that's not the only crazy thing he did with the set. So there were dust storms in the movie, but what most people don't know is that the giant dust clouds, they were created right on set using large fans to blow cellulose-based synthetic dust all through the air. This is pretty cool because that means the extras and the actors are reacting to actual dust. And can we just take a moment to sit back and appreciate the music? Every time I listen to the score of this movie, I just get goosebumps. It had no business being written by Hans Zimmer after Christopher Nolan wrote a short story for him about a dad leaving his kid to complete an important job. And the story just had two dialogues. The dad says, "I'll come back," and then the kid says, "When?" And so this genius man got to work. He spent the day composing, and he called Christopher Nolan at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night, and he was like, "All right, here you go." And Hans Zimmer didn't even leave the maths out of the music making. I'm sure most music making requires maths, but he did something special with one of the soundtracks. It's called Mountains. So this soundtrack, Mountains, is used in the scene when they land on Miller's planet, and the track has this mysterious ticking noise. So we all know that Miller's planet is in a gravity well because it's extremely close to Gargantua. That means that if you spend 1 hour on Miller's planet, 7 Earth years will pass by. In the first minute of the soundtrack when they land, there's a ticking noise that happens every 1.25 seconds. Each tick represents approximately 1 day passing on Earth. 21.248 hours per tick to be exact. I read this on Quora, but if someone were to play this music soundtrack of 3 minutes and 39 seconds on Miller's Planet, because of relativity, it would take 155.49 Earth days to pass for the person to finish listening to the score. So yeah, I think I've said enough about this movie. I have lots more to say, but I think this is just about enough. I have been painting this painting for 3 months. It took me forever because I could only paint it 10 minutes at a time or so. If you want to see me paint more stuff like this in the future and you like my content, go ahead and subscribe and give me a like if you like this video. And that's pretty much it for this video. Bye!